Hi, everyone. I hope you've been having a fantastic day so far. Welcome to today's webinar from Click to Client, where we'll be taking you through how to attract, connect, and convert your legal leads online. My name's Ashley. I'm the Partnerships Manager here at Smokeball, and it's great to have you join us today.
Hey,
Before we,
oh, I was just going to say my name's Eric and I'm
oh,
presenting.
no, next slide, it's coming.
Okay.
Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. I also extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. Sorry, Eric. Now is we've got the spotlight on you now. I'm very excited to be co-hosting this session with Eric Giraud, Chief Operating Officer at Civille. Eric brings deep expertise in helping law firms grow their online presence, and we're thrilled to partner with Civille on this integration and today's session. So together we'll be walking you through how Australian law firms can not only stand out online in 2025, but also effectively turn website visitors into paying clients with a seamless transition into Smokeball. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we dive in. Today's session will run for about an hour. We'll leave time for Q&A at the end, but please feel free to submit your questions at any point using the Q&A button on your screen. And finally, today's webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to revisit the content or share it with your colleagues afterwards. Before we get started with today's content, we would love to get a quick pulse check. So the question is, what would you most like to learn today or get out of this webinar? You'll see a few options pop up on your screen. Just please select the one that best fits what you're hoping to take away from the webinar today. We'll just give you about 30 seconds to answer, and then we'll share the results shortly. I can share the results now. Looks like most people have answered. So, can you see it, Eric, or is it just me?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, so it looks like most people today are here to get out of the webinar practical steps that they can take now to improve their online visibility. And then closely in pursuit, we've got how to attract higher quality leads. And also some people are interested in as well in how to improve the integration between Smokeball and their website.
Excellent.
And that now. So to set the stage for today's session, it's important to understand just how much the legal consumer journey has shifted in recent years. So the way potential clients are finding and choosing law firms is very different from even just a few years ago. And with the proliferation of AI now influencing how people search and interact online, the pace of change is really only accelerating. So to walk us through this shift and the key trends shaping 2025 and beyond, I'll now hand over to Eric to take you through his thoughts.
Sweet. Thanks, Ashley. And thanks everybody for joining. I am actually literally burning the midnight oil over here. I think that expression still makes sense in Australia. But I'm calling in from central United States in Kansas and just really excited to have the opportunity to spend some time with you all. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I really want to make this informative and actionable for you all. I saw that top result, like practical steps I can take to immediately improve my online discoverability. I can help you with a couple of those things, stuff you can do right after lunch today. Um, so first slide, we're just kind of easing in here. A lot of this stuff I assume is obvious to most people here. How is consumer behavior changing? What's different today than yesteryear? Obviously, things are happening on mobile. I'm sure you know, just as Ashley alluded to, AI-driven search is becoming increasingly prominent, and with that, queries and searches themselves are becoming more conversational. It's not as simple as like attorney near me, although those searches still exist. It might be, what is the cost of a divorce attorney in Sydney if, I share assets with my spouse, something like this, right? Um, and so we know mobile dominates, AI is important. We all know this. We'll talk more about that in a second. But kind of a third little nugget here, and I think one that is often overlooked, but very important, is your page speed and the actual performance of your website and how that impacts your discoverability online. So as we move forward, we'll talk more about that, see how you can dissect your own site's performance, and see if there's opportunities for improvement. Next slide, please. Sweet. So we have these clever sections of our presentation here: attract, connect, convert. So we're going to talk about first how we can attract prospects, clients to your firm, to your brand, to you. So I should set the stage here on when we're talking about website traffic, online discoverability. There's lots of different ways that you can attract people to your website and get them to fill out forms or give you a phone call. What I'm here to talk to you about today is search engine optimization for organic search. So that's what SEO stands for, search engine optimization, trying to optimize your website to ensure that it shows up in organic search results. Hopefully, I'm not wasting too many people's time here, but some of you, organic means not paid results. When you Google something, you see sponsored results and you see organic results. So what we're trying to learn about today is how can you get your website to show up more prominently in more searches, higher up on the page for organic results, not the ones that you have to pay for, not the ones that you have to pay for each click. So let's talk first about page speed and performance, site performance. So again, often overlooked, but if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense as to why this would factor into a website's ranking. So we're all business people here, and we all have customers. We want our customers to have great experiences, and Google is no different. So Google determines their customers' experience through algorithm. They are able to kind of mathematically see, did my customer, a searcher on Google, have a positive experience as they searched a certain query? If a website takes longer than 3 seconds to load, studies show that over half of traffic will actually bounce off. And if you think about your own user behavior, like if you click on a result or try to load a web page and you're staring at a blank screen for a certain amount of time, after some time, you're swiping back, you're getting out of there. So Google will, understand that if several users are doing that, that's a bad experience. And now that reflects poorly on Google search results. So they've actually published that page speed factors into their ranking algorithm. So before we talk about content or Google business profile optimization or schema on your site, none of that really matters, or of course it still matters, but foundationally, we need to ensure that the content we want our customers to see is accessible and accessible on mobile devices and accessible quickly. So one little actionable takeaway we can do today, you can do it right now while I'm talking, is go to pagespeed.web.dev. This is Google PageSpeed Insights. This is not a third-party tool. This is from Google, and it's a tool that they've offered developers and development agencies to help folks understand what their site looks like in the eyes of a search engine as far as performance and page speed goes. And then if you're seeing a screenshot on the slide here, but if you were to scroll down when you run your own website through this tool, it will tell you how to improve it. Right? So you want all green. Green is good. Yellow's okay. Red's bad. And so how is this actionable? Like you're saying, great, I see I have bad scores. What do I do with that? There's no magic like make my website faster button. Well, there's instructions below that do tell you how you can improve your site's performance. And the chances are you worked with an agency or a developer of some kind to build your website, to host your website. Forward that report over and say, some know-it-all American told me you need to get my scores in the green, and tell them to do what's on the page. And that's going to help you rank higher. So that's one little fun takeaway is you get a report card for your site, see where your scores are at, pay specific attention to the toggle at the top. There's mobile and desktop, see what your mobile scores are. And that first number, the performance number, is the one we really want to make sure is high. All else equal, Google is going to rank higher the site that loads more quickly because it gives their users a better user experience. Next slide, please, Ash. Okay, so now we're going to talk about content that converts and how that's obviously helpful to getting your site to rank. It's easier said than done, but let's start with why you want to have content on your site. Well, this little stat I put at the bottom, law firms that publish SEO optimized content regularly will see an increase of 300% more traffic, 100% more leads. I can show you results from our own clients. You can go to getciville.com, go to resources results that are way higher than this stat shows. But I wanted to use a third party source to indicate like this is known that regular posting of content will get you more visibility and more traffic. So what do I mean by content and why is that attracting people to your site? So when I say content, I'm talking about blog posts or landing pages generally, but anything that is like a long form, medium long form, 500 to 900 words that answers questions and provides ideally localized answers to conversational queries. So longer form content providing localized answers to a conversational question. How much does it cost to get a trademark in my city? So a blog post would specifically answer that, give, all the background behind that. And when you're regularly posting content like that, Google increases their degree of confidence that, wow, this firm, this lawyer is an authority on these types of queries. And based on the fact that I see users are landing on their page, spending time on there, engaging with the content, I'm sure that this is a reputable source. I can start to send more and more traffic over there. You can't just throw 100 pieces of content on a website all at once and never do it again. It needs to be this regular, consistent voice. So I say this is the hardest part of SEO because it requires that legwork, the elbow grease. It requires the doing of strategizing. What do I want to write about? I got to write the content. I'm sure a lot of you have had the same idea that I had, which is, hey, I know a tool that makes it pretty easy for me to write blog posts. It's called ChatGPT. I just ask it to do it and bam, there it is. Well, not to burst the bubble, but I have kind of good and bad news, which is that doesn't work. We've ran a lot of tests to on independent properties where we use AI content exclusively to see how it ranks against human written content. I don't know how they do it, but Google knows if it's just generated by AI. And we've actually seen traffic fall off a cliff when using exclusively AI generated content. So, how can you use AI to create better content and create content that converts? You can use it for topic and keyword research. What should I write about? What are what are good topics if this is my practice area? You can analyze successful pieces of content. So when you search for something that you want to rank for and you see a few pieces of content that are ranking well, you can ask GPT to analyze it, tell you why that content is performing well, learn from those themes, and then recycle them into your own content. You can use it for things like ideas for titles, outlines for content, suggestions on how to optimize articles for SEO, etc. You don't want to just copy paste a first draft, like write a blog post about family law and go. It'll hurt you. Um, so what I'm describing, although critically important, is difficult. You can do it yourself, but this is the one that I would probably highlight and say that's probably the most valuable thing that you could engage a professional or an agency to do on your behalf. But with tools available, it does, AI tools, it makes it more easy to do the things that were previously difficult, like strategize, learn from others, etc. A little bit more on content. And that is like what makes good content, and how to ensure that the content you or someone working for you is writing stuff that can actually help you. Um, so this acronym EEAT is like really popularized in the digital marketing industry, which stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So these are the things that you want your content to convey, and that will help you rank well. I like it. I mean, it makes sense. It's a good like gut check. Does my content convey experience and expertise? But I find that acronym to be pretty difficult to kind of action on. How do I write content that shows I'm an authority? I mean, you're of course trying to convey that in whatever you're writing. So it's good to keep in mind. But an acronym that I've always used, proprietary, used it before this EEAT one came about, is RATE, and that's relevance, accuracy, timeliness, and engagement. So things that like this can help you brainstorm. You want to be relevant to popular queries or to the question that you're trying to answer. Make sure your article is specifically relevant to that question, query, or topic. You want to, of course, be accurate. You don't want to make stuff up. You want to cite sources and ensure that what you're saying is true, and verifiable. You want to be timely. If there's a new law that has passed and you want to put content out related to a new ordinance or something that's happening like legally that would impact your prospects or your existing customers, you want to be kind of like speed to market there. That'll be helpful in getting and holding ranking position. And finally, you want to be engaging. And this is the part that a lot of people overlook, in that it's not enough to just cram an article with a bunch of keywords. Write with voice, write with tone, be funny, be engaging, so that people actually want to read it. And those sorts of engagement, that engagement nuance is what Google can see algorithmically. Are people sticking around? Are they scrolling? Are they actually reading this? Is it answering the question that they're searching? And that will help you get more traffic in the future. Again, you just don't want people to come in, bounce off, whether it's like this page isn't loading right, it's too slow, the content's not engaging. These are the things that are tickling the algorithm and saying like bad piece of content, bad domain. So just, try to be engaging. Easier said than done. But those are the things that you want to check against whoever is writing your content, whether it's yourself, somebody who works for you, or an agency. And then, of course, where possible, you want to localize your content. So adding your city, your primary market area, is always a good idea and is going to pay dividends for capturing traffic for localized search results.
So now that we've looked at why your Google business page is so important, we would like to do a quick check-in with everyone here. So the poll question is, does your firm currently have someone who knows how to manage your Google business page? Just go ahead and share your response. It not only gives us a really helpful snapshot, but also it will let you see how your firm stacks up alongside others in the room. So we'll just give everyone a few seconds to respond, and then we'll take a quick look at the results together. think we can share the results now. Looks pretty encouraging to me, Eric. Most people are managing either in-house or getting someone else to do it for them.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. And I promised actionable takeaways, and this is what you asked for. I know the content can be difficult. Even if you know what to do, it's hard to follow through there. But with Google Business Profile, especially if one out of every two of you are managing it in-house, and for those that are not sure, this is a great thing that you can do today that I promise will have positive impact on your local search results.
Great.
So we talked, about page speeds performance. We looked at content, what makes good content, writing regular content. But obviously, one of the best ways to attract leads from the internet is to show up in those maps results. When somebody searches for a specific practice area or a service offered by a lawyer or law firm, you're going to get maps and business results. And one of the best ways to get, those low funnel queries, people that are like, I know I need a lawyer, so I'm searching for one. Those are very valuable. So when you think about your digital presence, it's not just your website, your social media profiles. One of the most important things that you can do is spend time to optimize your Google business profile. Um, so I have a little check mark here. Most of us are good about having good pictures of our staff, of our office, making sure that the information about the firm, phone number, address is correct. And generally people have process in place for, hey, will you leave us a Google review, that helps us out. Those are the basics. That's foundational. I'll assume most of you kind of are doing that already. If not, like that's a great place to start. Please do that. And you will. The good news is if you're not doing that, there's a lot of opportunity for lift. So get the basics down. If you don't know, if you don't have your Google business profile, for the 10% of you that mentioned like not sure, Google your name, your firm name. You will see a business profile listed for yourself and say claim my listing. There's a little link, you'll scroll, you'll find it. Claim it, verify ownership, own that sucker, and then you'll be able to go in and do what I will recommend now. So the number one mistake that I see law firms make is incomplete profiles. When Google surfaces results, they want to show the best profiles, the most complete profiles. And incomplete ones are not going to be as helpful to Google searchers. So, in the same way that we looked through the lens of Google trying to provide a good user experience for their customers as it pertains to page speed, look through that lens again. If Google has these special profiles that they want all businesses to fill out, and they want people to have a good experience when they're searching these localized results or these maps results, they want they want a more complete profile to ensure that that experience on maps is going to be a more rich one. So it's safe to assume and proven that a more complete profile, next all else equal, will get more favor from Google in ranking higher. So the actionable takeaway number two is going to be that you can go and do the things that most firms do not do, and that's the exclamation points here. Most firms are not adding products or service areas or providing updates. So actually, if you click, I'll show a screenshot here of what that looks like on a complete business profile. So at the top of the screen on a business profile, you're seeing products for like consumer packaged goods businesses or for a retail store, they would list their products. What a lawyer needs to do is list their services or practice areas. So if you're, a family law firm listing, whatever the services are, divorce, adoption, uh, last will and testament, each one of those should be listed. All of these, again, we're trying to algorithmically get Google to understand what it is that you do, Give them certainty that you're an authority on that particular service in your market. So we want to list those products. Ideally, each will have its own description, and then you're going to link that to a piece of content or a page that already exists on your website that describes that service. So I'm sure on your website you got like a services list or page. So create an individual product for each of your primary services or practice areas, give it a description, link it to the content that's already on your website that describes that same service or practice area. That's a very easy thing to do. Google's UI for this is very simple, but you got to log into your Google profile, scroll down, add product, boom, boom, boom. Uh, so that will help. The next thing that you can do is add updates. This one kind of falls into the category of the last tip, which is to create content. But Google again wants to see, are you a consistent voice in your community on these things that you purport to be an expert in, right? So if you have this website and it says, I'm the best corporate lawyer or law firm in Brisbane, are you an active voice in your community writing about corporate law? So are you providing updates every couple weeks, every week, every month, even that just says, I'm active in this field. This is what I do. This is what I write about. And you can see these updates in my profile that again trigger, signal to Google that mathematically, wow, this firm, they're writing content about this stuff. The content is hyper localized to Brisbane. They're putting updates on their Google business profile to kind of affirm that this is what they do, and over time there's no denying then that you are a a quality uh, candidate for your prospects to consider in your market. So that's why this regular SEO practice, it takes time, but over time, it's so valuable because once you implement these routine practices and you get that rank and your competitors aren't doing it to the degree that you are, it's really difficult to be dethroned. And those leads are so valuable because they're low funnel searches, they're trusted because they're surfaced by Google, they're not paid. So it's just a really high ROI practice, especially in the long term. So before we get to connect, I just want to kind of sum up those three things. We talked about page speed performance. So go get your own website report card, pass it along to your agency developer, and say, get my scores up. Hopefully there's room for improvement for you there, or you're working with a great partner and you're already all in the green. Try to implement a content practice, even if it's once a month. Use AI to help you strategize, but not to write the content. And third, claim your Google Business Profile if you haven't already. And if you are managing your Google Business Profile, ensure you have accurate and complete information, as well as, and most likely not, I would say 1 in 10 firms are doing this, add the products and service areas, add updates. That's really going to help your visibility in those local search results. So that's a little sum on attracting people to your brand, to your firm, to your website, to your profile. And now I'm going to talk about that connectivity of your website to Smokeball. But a few things, like obviously we'll talk about how data flows into Smokeball from a website. But when you get people to your website, we talked about the importance of engagement, but obviously you don't care about the traffic you get to your website. You care about the opportunities to do business that your website creates. So how do we ensure that we have a high conversion rate or the traffic converting to leads? What you see on your screen is a screenshot of a multi-step form. Again, this is one of these tips that sounds cool, man, not super easy to do. Need a web developer to do this for me, but I'm here to tell you about best practices and opportunities where you can do better and hopefully improve your conversion rate, even if it's not something that you've got a developer in the next room that can help you out with this. There's lots of utilities online to create these types of forms, and ideally, you're working with a partner that can make this happen for you as well. Um, but why are we talking about multi-step forms? When you think of a contact form, you think of kind of the basic first, last name, phone, email, how can we help, um, which is fine. And for people that need to communicate with your firm or with a lawyer, like those are going to convert. But where possible, you want to see about where it makes sense to implement these types of multi-step forms. And they're beneficial for two reasons. One is they do get an increased conversion rate. The form psychologically validates to the prospect that you're the right firm for them by asking relevant questions related to their needs. So, like, this is a disability attorney and it's asking, are you currently receiving disability benefits? Right? But you think of your practice area, your firm, they're like these pseudo like intake questions, but by asking them, the prospect understands this isn't just like a, hey, give me your name and email and your phone number so I can blow you up and take your money. They understand that like this is what you do. Like, this is they're asking me questions about my case, my needs, so that it psychologically triggers that you're the right firm for them. It also increases the conversion rate because they get committed to their previous inputs. So a good multi-step form is going to ask things like yes or no questions, easy to blaze through that again trigger, oh, this is the right lawyer for me. But then when it gets to the point where it says, okay, can I have your phone number? Can I have your name? You're committed to those answers. So they're more likely to give you their personal contact information because they've already submitted information about themselves, their case, what have you. So that's reason number one why we like multi-step forms. They increase conversion rates. They get you more leads. But the second reason we like these is it actually increases your lead quality. And on that poll, we saw this is kind of the second most, like important thing to this audience is how do I get better leads? These you might still get some crap leads, but what happens is you're going to receive in Smokeball the answers to these questions, so you're able to prioritize your follow-up and understand who's going to be most valuable to connect with. Who should I call first? Who do I connect with based on these kind of screening questions? And instead of just name, email, phone, like, okay, it's just let's call, see what's up. I now have a little bit of information about this person or this case, and I can use that information to ensure that my follow-up is higher quality and that I'm not wasting my time with cases that I know are irrelevant to me. So where possible, implement these. Again, work with your provider, research tools that allow you to do this kind of stuff, and you're going to see increased conversion rate and you're going to have better quality follow-up. So this is where we start to talk about kind of the power of integration between a website provider and your practice management system, Smokeball. On the left here, you're seeing a scheduling tool. This is one that Civille creates that allows folks to just schedule an appointment. So just to kind of like help illustrate the power of the connection and integration between Smokeball and Civille, the calendar is a cool one because it has bidirectional integration. So when you schedule an appointment, on this calendar, a prospect maybe has been through screening and they want to come in and book an appointment. Hey, user, here's a link to our scheduler online, and for your appointment or for a phone call. That will place an appointment on the calendar, but it also ensures that as you add your own things to the Smokeball calendar, those times are like not available. So that's kind of a cool bidirectional integration. But the idea is, and Ashley will kind of uncover this more, but when you have all of your forms, whether they're simple contact forms, whether it's multi-step forms or these kind of appointment scheduling tools, all integrated into your website, there's so many things that you can do without needing to worry about the administrative hassle of like taking an email lead and then going and entering it into Smokeball. Getting a little ahead of myself, but you know, critical to kind of think that way of how could I be doing things differently if I didn't have to take extra steps to re-enter information that's being submitted? Or could I have an online scheduler if it was, you know, if it was connected to my Smokeball calendar? So for converting traffic, you know, I like multi-step forms. Of course, I like integrated forms, clear calls to action, and you know, the simpler the better. So the yes, no questions. You don't want to give everybody a full intake form. That's going to decrease your conversion rate. So keep it simple, keep it clear. Try to qualify, you know, the leads with simple questions, and then we'll start to see on this next slide how having a integrated website with a PMS like Smokeball is can be so powerful. So when we talk about these types of integrations, like if it doesn't make obvious sense, what we're talking about is when somebody fills out a form. Usually you get an email that just says, hey, somebody filled out a form on your website. Do with this information what you will. So you, with Civil, you still get that email as like a notification. But when you go into Smokeball, you're going to see all the information that was submitted on that form. And that info can be as simple as what we have depicted here, or as rich as a pseudo intake form with tons of information, whatever the customer filled out. It could be a calendar appointment that's been scheduled. But that's what we mean when we talk about an integrated website and PMS solution. And then the last thing, just to kind of tee up Ashley here, is it's not just the time savings and administrative like benefit of being able to not have to rekey information, but as Ashley will point out, you can then take those leads and set up workflows, automations within Smokeball such that you're not doing anything when these leads come in, and so many things can be triggered to kind of help you make a good, better, or faster first step with your prospects.
Thanks, Eric. So yeah, I'll now be taking you through the convert section of today's webinar. Eric has already summed it up really nicely, and in the interest of time, I've kept this section short and sweet. So for anyone who's interested in learning more after the webinar, please don't hesitate to reach out to Civille, which I'll show you how to do so shortly, or you can reach out to your CSM who will be able to help answer your questions and guide you. So one of the most exciting parts of our partnership is how Civille and Smokeball now work together seamlessly. So with our integration, every lead that comes through Civille's custom law forms on their website, or their chat feature flows directly into Smokeball as a contact and lead. As well, it automatically appears in your new leads dashboard widget. So this helps to deliver a smoother client experience right from the very first touch point. So from there, you can instantly create a matter, eliminating manual intake, reducing costs, and ultimately helping you to seamlessly convert your leads to clients. Another great feature of the integration, as Eric mentioned, is Civille's scheduler tool. So I've just shown here on the right a screenshot of what it looks like in your Smokeball. It connects directly with the Smokeball calendar. So that means whenever a prospect books a time to meet through your website, an event is instantly created in Smokeball. There's no manual entry required. It's a really simple but powerful way to stay on top of your new inquiries, keep your calendar up to date, and ensure you can respond quickly and professionally to every potential client that comes along. So if you'd like to explore how a Civille website could help your firm attract and convert more clients and take advantage of this seamless integration between Smokeball and Civille, it's really easy to get started. Just head over to our Marketplace tab in Smokeball, which I've indicated on the left-hand side here. Search for Civille's listing where you can connect directly with Eric and his team and learn more. As I mentioned before, your dedicated CSM will also be able to help. I'll now pass back to Eric to quickly cover some of the key takeaways from today's session before we start Q&A.
Sweet. Thanks, Ashley. And thanks for making those awesome animated GIFs to illustrate the integration. That's pretty cool. So just wanted to kind of leave you with takeaways. Obviously, the big one that I had for you is around Google Business Profile, going in there and that's something that you really can do today. Can take you 10, 15 minutes. And running your page, your website through the page speed tool. But just some key takeaways that a well-optimized digital presence and a highly performant one is going to convert higher value leads. Page speed is critically important. Your website's user experience, especially on mobile, is critically important. Google Business Profile optimization, critically important. Um, Integrations with Smokeball is going to streamline intake and prevent lost leads and help you do some sweet automations within Smokeball. And that's going to give you the opportunity to do fast lead follow-up, and that's going to increase your actual case conversion rate, allowing you to make more money from all of your effort to get found and discovered online.
Amazing. So thanks so much for that, Eric. So we have covered a lot of ground today. We'd love to hear from you now. So this is your chance to ask any questions that you have. Please submit your questions using the Q&A feature through Zoom, and Eric will do his best to answer as many questions as we can in the time we have left. So we've already had a few come through, so I might just read them out to you, Eric.
Yeah.
The first one, you mentioned earlier on in the attract section of the webinar, you suggested a few tools that law firms can use. So are there any differences of using these tools for Australian-based websites or Australian-based law firms?
No, not at all. The page speed tool, obviously I mentioned GPT. These are tools we use. I mean, we service Australian law firms. No. And I noticed like see advice for small law firms, limited budget. Sure. I mean, I would say the best thing you could do on a limited budget would be spend as much or more time on your Google Business Profile than you do on your website. If you're active on there, on that profile, you will get higher ranking. I've seen this happen with tons of solo and small firms that are just starting out. Really optimizing the business profile is going to be a surefire way to get you to stand up, stand out of the crowd and put a good professional foot forward and get Google to kind of respect you as an offering.
Great. Another person has asked if he has to set up a Google business page or is it there automatically?
So I'm going to also type an answer to this. It's a link where you can go and set up your Google business profile if it's not already there. But start by just Googling your firm's name or your name, and you should see a Google business profile result for it. If you do, say claim listing or go through that URL that I just sent, which is like business.google.com. And then it'll walk you through a little series of steps to either create or claim the profile.
Another person has said that they operate out of a service office. So they're struggling to get their Google business account verified. They've got no external signage and they operate just out of a single room. What tips do you have for them to get past this step?
So we've encountered this before. It's kind of unique case by case. I would love it if you reached out to me or via the method that Ashley just mentioned on the previous slide. And we have some experts at Civille that have encountered this a number of times, and we can likely help you out and just share some tips. I know that Google is very strict about like you got to show a picture of your sign. It's like, oh, I don't have a sign. But there are ways around this. So please reach out. I'm looking out for these emails. We'll be in touch, and I can put you in touch with somebody on my team that has encountered something like that before.
If you need to, as the person who submitted that question or for anyone else, these slides will be made available to you afterwards if you need a refresher on how to find Civil and Marketplace. We've got another question. Can we only add the calendar to the website using an iframe, or is there an HTML option so that it can be more
Yeah.
customizable?
Um, so if you were to use our scheduler, you'd be framing it in. Um, and we need to do it that way to leverage the existing integration that we have with Smokeball. There are several Australian firms that have, in lieu of getting an entire website through Civil, say, hey, I just like the connectivity, the integration between Civil and Smokeball. So I just want your forms, I just want your scheduler. Cool. We can totally do that. And we can help you with the customization of styles. Of course, we want it to match your brand identity. So we can do fonts, colors, and other sorts of style things. So I would say short answer is yes, you can customize it. The methodology by which we customize might be different than expected.
Yeah. We've got another attendee. He's curious about whether you have any Australian law firms that use civil websites and if you'd like to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we've got about 10 accounts in New South Wales. So my first time in Sydney was last year, or it was, I guess it was this year, it was in February. And you could tell it was my first time in Australia because when I got out of the airport, I was filming bin chickens, and everyone thought I was obviously a tourist. But no, yes, I mean, don't have a ton of experience relative to our experience in the United States, where we've had hundreds of clients. This is kind of a new market for us, but fortunately, we've got this great partnership with Smokeball AU, and we've got great reviews and testimonials, and great partnerships that we've made with our first handful of clients in your market, and would love you to add you to the list.
Another question is asking how important are reviews when it comes to your Google business profile in relation to other things?
I mean, I would say you like anybody could answer that question as well as I could. How much do you trust reviews, star ratings when you're shopping, when you're evaluating like which restaurant to go to, what you're buying on Amazon? I mean, I believe they're critically important. 4.3 and above is great. And obviously you want to have like over 10 to ensure it's not just like two people. If you don't have a great number or quality of reviews, that is not something you can fake. You really have to do a boots on the ground effort to, ask your current and previous clients, help me out here and ask for the reviews.
What about the requirements for Google for your site icon to be displayed in the search results?
Site icon. I'm not sure I totally understand the question. Um, yeah,
Maybe
I'm
whoever submitted that question, if you just wanted to elaborate a little bit about the site icon, we can get back to that one. We've got another really interesting one here. Can you please explain how Google knows the difference between blogs written by ChatGPT compared to ones that have been written by a human?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. What we do is we use various tools to run it through like an AI checker, and the tools that are available to basically say, "Hey, copy paste this blog post. Is this AI?" We tested it ourselves. We had it with AI generated content. We did human written content, and it's very good at determining those things. Um, I'm sure that will be, yeah. I don't know how they mathematically are able to do it. I have my own conjecture, but just for sake of time, I probably don't want to nerd out on that now. But I can tell you with authority that it's not worth the risk. Like if you're asking the question, like, well, how can I trick it? I just wouldn't. I mean, if you're going to put that much time and effort into trying to like trick Google into thinking that the content is AI written, spend that time using AI for strategy, for outlines, for ideation, and just write the content. And and you're the only reason I say that is because we have tested pure AI content on multiple properties and have seen an adverse effect. If it was just flatline, I'd say, well, no risk. But we have seen through our own studies that it can actually do harm, and that sites are being penalized for trying to just flood content that is AI generated. So I wouldn't recommend it. I'm sure somebody out there is doing it successfully and has some cool tricks. Unfortunately, I'm not the guy to tell you how to do it.
Another attendee has asked what your suggestions are for a firm that has a really good Google business page. It's complete with great reviews, but now this firm needs to change the name of that Google business page because they're changing the firm name.
Great question, Hannah. That would be one where I would also ask if you could reach out and I put you in touch with experts that have done this. I believe that it's doable if you're not changing like if it's just a business name change, but nothing else is changing. You're not trying to like take away like yeah, Google wants to ensure that you're not like stealing the brand equity. And but if the firm name is changing, like you're adding adding an attorney or a lawyer to the brand name, this is doable. So I would say reach out, have someone or let me meet with my team and get you specific answer to a specific question. But you can do that.
Hmm. Do you have any tips on how to get reviews? Funnily enough, people don't want to be associated with a criminal law firm.
Man, that is a good question. Before I read the second sentence, I was going to say, yeah, we've got review tools and do this and that. But I understand what you mean as far as like not wanting to be associated with, you don't want your profile on there. I mean, you could ask like, hey, does your Google profile use your real name? Like, or do you have like a alias or something? And just ask point blank, like, are you comfortable submitting a review? But I think just psychologically, what I would recommend is, addressing that concern up front. Hey, I'm asking you for a review. I understand I'm a criminal attorney. You might not want, like, and just try to overcome that objection before you even get to the ask. Um, and some people will have, anonymized Google accounts such that they're not identifiable and they might
Hmm.
be more to leave a
Hmm.
review.
How often should blog posts be posted for maximum SEO impact?
Depends on how many practice areas you have, how many markets you cover. Wow, I thumbs down myself. It's supposed to be thumbs up. Uh, but there it is. So if you have several practice areas and you're covering multiple markets, then it's appropriate to post more regularly, more often. If you are in one market and have niche practice, it can be difficult to write so much content. So it's a bad answer, like it depends, but it should be commensurate to kind of like how wide of a net you're casting as far as your specialties and geography. But let's just use an example of like small firm in a single market, um, and like family law. I would say ideal best case 3 to 4 times a month. Twice a month is great. Once a month is okay. But I would not do like once a quarter. It's just going to take you a while. But twice a month is like as far as our service offering, two blog posts per month is our most popular offering that can have great results. There are more aggressive firms that want to do 8, 12 posts a month, but two is popular and effective. Four is like you're gonna do great. We're gonna knock this out. Um, so single practice area, single market, I would say aim for twice a month.
Hmm. We've got time for one more question, so I'll just circle back to the one about the site icon previously. So this person has clarified when I perform a Google search for a website, it displays an icon, which is generally the company's logo. How do I ensure it displays, for example, so it doesn't just show the globe in the search?
So that's more of a technical question, and that has to do with the way that your website is coded and the schema that's used to like illustrate that. to the search engine. That would be one where I invite you again to reach out to me, to Civil. We can take a look at your site and try to help you out with that.
Great. So,
Um,
oh, sorry, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say thanks for everybody for paying attention. I see so many participants are still here. I really appreciate that. I hope it was informative and helpful for everybody. And a special thanks to everybody who asked great questions. And of course, Ashley Smokeball, for giving us time to chat today.
No, likewise. Thank you, Eric. It's been very, very valuable. And I'm sure people have lots of actionable takeaways to take home. So, before we wrap up, your input helps us shape and improve future webinar experiences. So, we'd really love your feedback on today's session. Please keep an eye out for the short post-event survey on Zoom, and let us know your thoughts. So, if providing us, valuable feedback alone isn't enough incentive, I've been told we've got a $100 Prezi gift card up for grabs for one lucky person who submits their response to our survey. Finally, a very big thank you for joining us today on behalf of both Eric and myself. We really appreciate your time and we hope you're walking away with some practical tips on attracting, connecting, and converting your legal leads online. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ashley.